What's up guys, today we're going to be comparing the Redmi Note 8 Pro to the Poco M3. So if you're trying to decide between which Redmi phone you want, hopefully this comparison will be helpful. So they're around the same price. The M3 is still a little bit cheaper at $167 I believe, and the Note 8 Pro is still a $200 phone. So let's go ahead and get started with just the hardware. So I definitely prefer the look of the Note 8 Pro 100% here, and the feel as well. So the M3 is pretty much just a plastic phone. This is plastic with a glass back on it, so it has a more premium feel to it, which is something that I really like. And overall, I think the design is better on the Note 8 Pro. The camera module setup, even though I think the M3 has a really unique looking design, I still don't think it looks better than the Note 8 Pro. So you know, just design wise, I do think the 8 Pro is better. Down below we got USB-C, and we have a 3.5mm jack on both of these phones. This one is up top, but the M3 actually has stereo speakers, and you only have a single speaker on the Note 8 Pro. So that is something that we'll talk about a little bit later. Alright, so let's talk about display quality, starting with the Note 8 Pro. So we have an IPS LCD display. It's 6.53 inches. You also have 1080p resolution, 395 for the PPI. On the M3, we also have a 6.53 inch display, IPS, and that is also 395 for the PPI. Now, the biggest difference that you're going to see, the Note 8 Pro has 500 nits brightness, and the M3 has 400 nits brightness. And as you can see, I have them both at max brightness. You can see the Note 8 Pro is way brighter than the M3. So I've noticed that with the M3 outdoor use as well. As far as display quality, they both pretty much look the same. It's just the Note 8 Pro is brighter and it's more visible outdoors. So I definitely would give display quality to the Note 8 Pro just for, being brighter and being, visible outdoors easier. You can see the M3 fine, outdoors. It's just not going to be as good as the Note 8 Pro for sure. But as far as just the screen quality, they're both IPS. They both pretty much look the same. Icons and everything look pretty much the same. It's really only a brighter display. You have the same amount of bezel, water drop notch. There's not a huge difference with display quality, but as you can see, much brighter display. So I think the Note 8 Pro definitely takes it there. Alright, so let's talk about these specs a little bit more here. So we're running MIUI 12 on both of these phones on top of Android 10. So on the Note 8 Pro, we have the Helio G90T, Mali G76 GPU, micro SD support, 64 gigs of internal storage, and 6 gigs of RAM. On the M3, we have the Snapdragon 662, Adreno 610, micro SD support, 64 gigs of internal storage, and 4 gigs of RAM. So we do have more RAM on the base model on the Note 8 Pro. So let's go ahead and launch some applications, see which one opens them faster. Start off with Subway Surfer. It's like the Note 8 Pro. Got it there first. Let's try Temple Run. So the Note 8 Pro is still a very fast phone, as we can see here. Alright. Let's try Instagram. Again, Note 8 Pro there. So it looks like the Note 8 Pro is just overall faster here. Let's try a heavy game like PUBG. So looks like the M3 might get in here first, actually. Yeah, looks like the M3 got in first. It's pretty surprising. All right, let's check out just gaming performance. See what we're working with here. On the Note 8 Pro, we can go to HDR with Ultra. On the M3, we can only go to balance and medium. So the Note 8 Pro is way superior when it comes to gaming. You can immediately tell with the graphics and FPS. Just looks smoother on the Note 8 Pro. So definitely, if you're a gamer, the Note 8 Pro is the way to go here. Graphics look better, and you can just game at higher settings on the Note 8 Pro here. Alright, so the M3 has stereo speakers and the Note 8 Pro just has a single firing speaker. So let's hear if we can spot the difference, starting with the Note 8 Pro. Yeah, huge difference on the M3, so it's kind of hard. You're not really going to be stereo speakers. But yeah, huge difference with bass quality. I can actually hear the bass on the M3. I can only hear the kicks. I can't really hear the 808s on the Note 8 Pro. Yeah. Yeah, overall the M3 does have the better and louder speakers for sure here. Alright, let's talk about your additional features. The Note 8 Pro has NFC, the M3 does not. They both have IR blasters, and they both have a headphone jack, and they both have a physical fingerprint scanner. So, if you are somebody that uses mobile payments, the M3, you can't do it. So that is something to consider. Now, your fingerprint placement, I think it's just 100% better on the M3, because I think this is just the best spot to put it. It's super natural to just have your hand. When you take it out of your pocket, it's just a natural place where you put your hand already, instead of the physical one being on the back here, which is very fast. It works, don't get me wrong. This does work extremely fast. I just prefer the placement of it being on the side 100%. They both have a face unlock, so you have that option as well if you don't want to use physical fingerprint scanner, but you do have NFC, so the Note 8 Pro does win in sort of the additional features department. Now let's talk about camera quality. So 100% the Note 8 Pro has the better cameras after looking at them both, taking pictures with them. 100%, you just have more detail, better color reproduction, better depth of field. The Note 8 Pro's cameras are definitely better here. So just to run off these specs, on the Note 8 Pro, you do have a 64 megapixel standard, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, and a 2 megapixel depth. You get 4K video, 20 megapixel selfie camera that shoots in 1080p. And on the M3, you get a triple camera setup. It's a 48 megapixel standard, 2 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth, only 1080p video, and an 8 megapixel selfie that shoots in 1080p. So if you're somebody that is deciding between these two phones and camera quality is something you care about, the Note 8 Pro is definitely the better phone to go with. All of the sensors to me are much better, and the thing that's kind of sucks with the Poco M3 is that there is no ultra wide on this phone. So I hate that they put the macro and the depth sensor in here. I think this would have been a much better phone if they would have just put the ultra wide with this phone, but it is what it is. Alright, so this is where the M3 shines. So let's talk about battery life. You have a massive 6,000 milliamp battery on the M3, 18 watt fast charging. On the Note 8 Pro, you have a smaller 4,500 milliamp battery, also 18 watt fast charging. So battery life is insane on the M3. So if battery life is something that concerns you, it's crazy the difference with these two phones. So you can easily squeeze 9 to 10 hours of screen on time, and again, that varies if you're a light user, but you're 100% getting better battery life on the M3 for sure. The Note 8 Pro, usually I can squeeze around 7 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time on here, so that's a big difference for and somebody that wants to be on their phone and they don't want to really charge their phone constantly. So definitely a win for the M3 in the battery department, hands down. So which phone did you guys prefer? Be sure to let me know. Are you going with the M3 or the Note 8 Pro? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.